وصحبه أجمعين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي آمين يا رب العالمين. My dear respected brothers and sisters and brothers and sisters here, one of the most difficult challenges that a lot of us face in America is being parents. Most communities that I go to, a lot of our parents are immigrants. They came from overseas, even though a lot of them have been here for 20, 30 years. We grew up in a different land. And the problems that our children face today are very different from the problems we used to face at our younger age. And the challenge in that is a lot of parents don't know what to do. A lot of parents have problems with their children. And also you see the other way around, a lot of children have problems with their parents. And whether it's they're not able to build a relationship with their parents, or they're not able to just have any sort of a connection to the parent. Now, luckily, alhamdulillah, is when you look at the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks a lot about parents in the Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives so many examples in the Quran that talks about parents. So we don't have to struggle. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Ibrahim and his son, or Ibrahim and his family, Yaqub alayhi salam and his children, Yusuf and his brothers, Luqman, the wise man who gave a lot of advice to his children. You see the relationship between Noah and his son. His son was not very obedient, right? You see examples given in Surah Al-Kahf about righteous children and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taking righteous parents and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taking care of the children. And there's so many other examples. So what I want to do, inshallah, in the next 10-15 minutes that I have with you, is to take one example in the Quran, in Surah Ibrahim, that talks about Ibrahim alayhi salam with his family. And then figure out what kind of insights that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us. Because brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honored parents. Our parents are honored. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them a very high status. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them the path for us to go to Jannah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to give us such a big obligation without telling us what to do, as parents and as children as well. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in verse number 37 in Surah Ibrahim, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about a dua that Ibrahim made to his people, to his family. Now the background of this dua is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Ibrahim a command to take his wife and his child and leave them in the middle of the desert in Mecca when there was no one there. And then he was told that you're going to go there and leave your children and then you have to go somewhere else. So Ibrahim alayhi salam takes his family in the middle of the desert. He leaves them there and he turns around and he walks away. Now his wife, just like any of our wives, like, you're just going to leave us here? Like you can't just do that. And Ismail alayhi salam was he was an infant, like he was a very young baby. So obviously as a mother, she's like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. We have to talk about this. So she keeps calling Ibrahim alayhi salam. She was like, you can't just leave us here. And Ibrahim alayhi salam was walking away. So she kept asking him multiple times and she kept walking away. And then she stopped and she said, Allahu amaraka bihada? Did Allah command you of this? So he turns around and he nods his head. And then she looks at him, she says, فَلَنْ يُضَيَّعْنَ اللَّهُ أَبَدًا. Then go ahead, Allah will never abandon us. Allah will never leave us alone. And you know, subhanAllah, when I look at this story, we've done the same exact thing to our children. If I look around, a lot of us came to this land with nobody. Not everybody came here to have a brother. So a lot of us came here, we don't know anybody here. Right? We have to work 2-3 jobs. We have to figure things out. But subhanAllah, the wife of Ibrahim knew that as long as he trusts Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will take care of everybody. Don't worry about it. So Ibrahim leaves. He keeps walking and walking and walking until he got to a point where they cannot see each other. So he turns around and faces the Kaaba. And he starts making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the dua that Allah records in Surah Ibrahim, verse number 37, that you can reference afterward, inshallah. So Ibrahim alayhi salam raises his hands as he's looking at, he's in the direction of the Kaaba. He cannot see his family. His family cannot see him, but he makes a dua. And he says, رَبَّنَا
إني أسكنت من ذريتي بواد غير ذي زرع عند بيتك المحرم ربنا ليقيموا الصلاة فاجعل أفئدة من الناس تهوي إليهم وارزقهم من الثمرات لعلهم يشكرون. This dua can take us an hour to talk about. But obviously we don't have an hour. So let's see, what did Ibrahim alayhi salam ask for? Because as we are struggling with our children, as we try to figure out how do I raise this kid, right? And for some of the younger guys here that are kind of staring at me like I'm not a parent, yeah, inshallah you'll be very soon. And before you know it, you're going to have a child underneath you, and you're like, hey, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know anything about parents, right? You know, subhanAllah, we were learning about mental health recently. You know, there's a mental health, an anxiety disorder that happens to fathers when they're about to become fathers. They actually become very anxious. Like, they start having attacks, like panic attacks, because they were like, I don't know what to do with this child, with this baby. It's a big responsibility. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us. So Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he makes dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, Ya Allah, my Rabb, the one who's been taking care of me, as you commanded me, I put my children in this place, in Mecca. And he says, بِوَادٍ غَيْرِ ذِي زَرْعٍ, in a valley that doesn't have any food, that doesn't have any vegetation. Now when you really think about this, you're like, was that the number one concern for Ibrahim? Because how many of us here have to go to work after work, right? How many of us here have to work every day? And then sometimes we do that. I do that myself. Sometimes our imams, Allah bless them, they make you feel bad for not coming to the masjid often. You know, everybody comes for Jum'ah for the rest of the week. Nobody shows up, or very few people show up. And then we're made to feel bad. But you're outside trying to provide for your family. And again, I'm not from LA, but I can imagine it's not very cheap to live in LA. It's very expensive. So we have to, but Ibrahim alayhi salam says, Ya Allah, I put them in a place that doesn't have any food. Because the number one concern for Ibrahim was, I want them to have food so they can live. I want to put some food on the table. So he's showing his concern to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, I obeyed your command, but I want you to know that I am concerned about their food. That was the concern of Ibrahim alayhi salam. So when you go out there and you go work and you have to provide for your family, don't ever let anybody make you feel bad. It is the greatest responsibility for a father is to put a food on the table. And it's not easy. And Ibrahim alayhi salam recognized that it's not going to be easy. But then he did a couple of other things. Number one, he said, عِنْدَ بَيْتِكَ الْمُحَرَّمِ. See, Allah, I didn't place them in any, I didn't just put them anywhere. I put them in a place next to the masjid. I put them in a place next to the masjid. Because the masjid, brothers and sisters, is the core of the community. Yani, if we want to raise righteous families, it has to be connected to the masjid. And this becomes very important when we're moving. You know, a lot of times when people move into houses to apartments, you want to look at the rent, you want to look how far is the nearest Costco, right, or Sam's Club, or whatever shopping mall. Is there some sort of halal place nearby? What's the interest rate looking like? What is the schools? We look at all these different things. But Ibrahim alayhi salam says, I want to make sure that I put my family in a place next to the masjid. And I tell you this, as somebody who works with young people, alhamdulillah, I've been working with youth for the last 10 years. And I tell you the difference between a parent who struggles a lot and a parent who struggles a little bit is whether his kids are attached to the masjid or not. Our kids are not going to be perfect. But a masjid will help them have the identity of Muslims. Even if they come to play or they come to just hang out with their friends. Now, when you as a parent or as a father lives very far away from the masjid, this becomes very difficult. So Ibrahim alayhi salam says, Ya Allah, I'm worried about their food, but I placed them next to your masjid. Because I want them to do something which is also very important. رَبَّنَا لِيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةِ. Allah, I want them to establish their salah. I want them to pray 5 times a day. Because that's what's going to keep them Muslims. And the reality, brothers and sisters, wallahi, I am telling you this, if you teach your children just 5 daily prayers, you'll be okay. I asked one of my teachers, Sheikh Yasir Qadi, one time I was sitting, I used to live in Houston for a couple of years, and I was sitting for him over lunch, and I asked him, like, Sheikh, what do you advise parents to do to their children? He was like, if you can teach your child to pray 5 times a day and have good manners, don't worry about anything else. Because salah, it's what gonna keep him Muslim throughout his life. He might mess up. He might do wrong things. He might stop praying here or there. But the fact that our young people are attached to salah is gonna save them. It's gonna save their religion. It's gonna save who they are. It's their identity. It's what anchors us at times of difficulties. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made salah the most important thing because it's what saves our religion. You know, and a lot of us as parents, intentionally or unintentionally, what do we focus on? We focus on their education. Education, which is important. But it never comes. It's never more important than salah. Sometimes a lot of us are pushing our children to be huffaz, for example. And we push them to be a hafiz. We push them so much that they get suffocated. Now what about salah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us through the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam that salah is your number one thing. Is the most important thing to teach your children. And it cannot happen far away from the masjid. That's why Ibrahim alayhi salam says, Ya Allah, I left them in a place that doesn't have any food. And I am concerned, but it's by your masjid. So they can establish salah. Because if they have these 2 things, inshallah, everything will come. And then the last thing Allah subhanahu Ibrahim alayhi salam says in his dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, فَجْعَلْ أَفْئِدَةَ مِنَ النَّاسِ تَهْوِي إِلَيْهِمْ. But Ya Allah, I don't want them to be alone. Make communities come to them. And what happens today in Mecca and Medina? Millions and millions and millions of people go every year just to spend few days in Mecca and Medina. And the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam is like, Ya Allah, my family is alone right now, but I want the community. And that also becomes the responsibility of a father to make sure that your family is surrounded by good families, by good people. And it starts in the masjid. It starts right here. So they can hang out together because nobody wants to be alone. The reality is we as human beings in general, we are social by nature. We want to hang out with people. We want to talk to people. We want to be there for each other. And Ibrahim alayhi salam understood all of this. It was not some sort of something strange to Ibrahim alayhi salam. And then the last thing that he said, which is really fascinating, he says, وَارْزُقْهُمْ مِنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ. Ya Allah, I know there's no food, so I ask you to provide them with food. Provide them with food. And while food was important, it came the last thing for Ibrahim alayhi salam. Because he was concerned about food. Okay? He was concerned about it. He wanted to make sure that they stay alive. But there's few other things that were more important in his mind. And that's what he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. You see, brothers and sisters, there's a lot of different advice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us in the Quran when it comes to parents and children. But Ibrahim alayhi salam summarizes it really quickly. 3 things. Number 1, be close to the masjid. Be attached to the masjid. Bring your kids to the masjid. This is what's going to keep them Muslims. Number 2, teach them salah. If you spend your entire life just teaching them salah, that's good, inshallah ta'ala. And the last thing, make sure you have a good community around you. And make sure you have a group of families that can build and stick to each other. And build that community around each other. So inshallah, tonight we're going to talk more about parent and youth, inshallah ta'ala. I'll be coming here between Maghrib and Isha. We'll talk a little bit about parenting, inshallah. But with that, I'll end. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله الذي خلقنا من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبثنا منهما إلى ما شاء. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله سيد الأنبياء صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه أجمعين. أما بعد، فيا معشر الإخوان، إن من آداب المعاشرة الإسلامية عيشة متحدة غير متفرقة. فقد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: مثل المؤمنين في توادهم وتراحمهم وتعاطفهم إن اشتكى منه عضوا تداعى له سائر الجسد بالسهر والحمى. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: لا تقاطعوا ولا تدابروا ولا تباغضوا ولا تحاسدوا وكونوا عباد الله إخوانا. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: اتبعوا السواد الأعظم فإنه من شذ في النار. قال الله سبحانه تبارك وتعالى في القرآن المجيد والفرقان الحميد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم، بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. واعتصموا بحبل الله جميعا ولا تفرقوا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا. بارك الله لنا ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعنا وإياكم منه بالآيات والذكر الحكيم. إنه تعالى جواد كريم قديم ملك بر رؤوف رحيم ورب حليم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا كما أمر، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له إرغاما لمن جحد به وكفر. وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله سيد الخلائق والبشر. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد نور القلب وقرة العين وعلى آل محمد. فيا أيها المشتاقون إلى رؤيا جماله صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد نور القلب وقرة العين وعلى آل محمد. فيا أيها الراجون منه شفاعة صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. خصوصا منهم ذي الأسر العريق أمير المؤمنين سيدنا أبي بكر الصديق رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى الزاهد الأواب أمير المؤمنين سيدنا أبي حفص عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى كامل الحياء والإيمان أمير المؤمنين سيدنا عثمان بن عفان رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى أسد الله الغالب أمير المؤمنين سيدنا علي بن أبي طالب رضي الله تعالى عنه، وعلى تمام العشرة المبشرة، وعلى سائر الصحابة والتابعين رضوان الله تعالى عليهم أجمعين. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين، اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين، واخذل الكفرة والمبتدعة والمشركين، وكن اللهم حافظهم وموئدهم وناصرهم يا رب العالمين ويا خير الناصرين. اللهم شتت شمل أعداء الدين ومزق جمعهم يا مبيد الظالمين. اللهم انصر من نصر دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، واخذل من خذل دين محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، واجعل اللهم آمنة مطمئنة سائر بلاد المسلمين، واكتب اللهم الستر والسلامة والعافية علينا وعلى عبيدك الحجاج والغزاة والمسافرين في برك وبحرك من أمة محمد أجمعين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة واغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العلي العظيم يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقم الصلاة.